Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Mark Waller, and welcome to Mastering Thought live stream, where we answer your questions. And let me get my comments window up so I can see your questions when you check in. There it is. And this is my trusty sidekick, Vanessa Moreno. She's the manager of our online community, Thought Masters. And do you want to tell them what Thought Masters is, Vanessa?
Yeah, so Thought Masters is essentially a community that is working toward learning how to master our thoughts before we allow our thoughts to master us.
Oh,
And
nice.
we're using, we just use techniques that seem really simple, and you think that they wouldn't work, but they work. And it's just a way to help us be in the present moment and to just focus on what's in front of us instead of thinking about the past and thinking so much about the future and just really being connected to yourself here and now.
So let me just mention a couple other things. Please check out the community. We'll try to put a link below. It takes a while for these live streams to actually become accessible to me on YouTube. Sometimes not until tomorrow morning. But I will try to put the link for the Thought Masters community in the description. If you don't find it there, click on one of the other videos. It's probably in the description of some other video that you click on, but we'll get that for you. And also, just a couple things. Kristina, some of you know Kristina. She and I do the Mastering Thought YouTube channel. She has back to school night. She won't be here tonight. But when we record, we usually record on Mondays, except this week we've kind of run into a snag. But then we do, there's Brett Black. Hi, Brett. And, and Jack Eason, welcome. We do a podcast called Reflections, where we talk about what we recorded on Monday and then reflect on what we're about to record the following Monday. And also there is another podcast called A Deep Dive, and this is an AI-generated discussion of the latest episode on mastering thought. And you wouldn't think it would be anything because it's AI-generated. Let me tell you, and you can attest to this, Kristina, or I hit the wrong button. It says Kristina. There you are. Sorry.
Hey, that's okay. I
Uh,
got you.
these AI generated conversations are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're extremely intelligent, very realistic. So check those out. Go to Mastering Thought and click the podcast. So tonight, I'll give you an inside track as to what's going on. Chris, we're recording a series on presence and the structure of presence and how the present moment works. And we tried to record on Monday, and I got so deep in the weeds that she checked me, God bless her, and said this is way too complicated, and in her nice way. She wasn't offensive at all. So we went for a little walk with her extraordinary dog, Sunny, this morning, and we talked about how we can make this a little more accessible, and we're going to re-record. So our timing is a little off this week, but look forward to that. And since presence was on my mind, I decided to kind of make that the topic tonight. And I kind of sprung it on you, Vanessa, but you know,
Yeah.
what was your reaction when you started to look into that?
I think I can agree with Christina. There were some concepts that were very confusing, but I know, and I had to keep speed scrubbing back just because there was a lot about quantum physics
Uh-huh.
and consciousness, and I struggled with it. It was a good listen, but it was a little difficult for me to track, especially with quantum physics and especially our relationship to time and
Uh-huh.
understanding how that affects our awareness.
Okay, cool. So you can see the struggle. I tend to make things too complicated, and so we're trying to overcome that.
That's great. I love it.
So as you went through that, were there any questions that were raised when you went through it?
Yes. Yes. Um, I guess so. I was trying to understand what quantum physics really entailed, and you described it a little bit, but if you could, in a concise statement, describe what quantum physics is, because that was where most of where my confusion was and where I was hung up.
Well, I'm sure that we're going to have some listeners that might disagree with me because I'm no physicist. But
Uh,
in the way we're presenting it here on the channel is a good way to think of quantum physics starts with the quantum field, and the quantum field is just this energy field. Okay, as we move into the series on awareness, what we're finding is that it's not just an energy field, it's a field of pure awareness. And it's the substrate of what everything is made of. And so this whole experience we're having is the quantum field collapsing into particles. This has to do with the dual slit experiment, and we won't go through all that. But a good way of thinking it's another way of defining God or consciousness or the universe. And when you get to the subject of presence, what it's all about is how does the quantum field or the field of consciousness create the present moment, and how do we participate in it? And in quantum physics, you participate by being an observer. And when an observer appears, the field collapses into an experience.
oh wow.
Now, but when you think of the field being a field of pure awareness, what's happening is that the field is creating experiences so it can experience itself. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It's a bit profound. Yeah,
Right.
I have to chew it.
So there's Maribel Moreno. Say hello to your mother. Welcome, Maribel.
Mom, hi. I made it, Mom.
So you can see our problem. So right away, you and I are kind of in the weeds here,
Yeah.
discussing something that's very hard to understand. But the point about the present moment is this: we have been created to be a mirror for what the field of consciousness is trying to create. And when we become that pure mirror without distortion, and we're coherent in our own awareness, then we experience that as presence. And in the present moment, there is a flow and everything feels right. And really the sense of self disappears. All there is the experience. Yeah, Jet just joined the conversation, and I'll put this up. She says, huh?
Yes.
So I understand. We're struggling trying to make this really simple, and so but let me throw you a curveball here. Let's get out of the weeds and talk about presence for a minute. And I have a slide that I want to show you. I thought I put it here. Where did it go? There. So
Beautiful.
imagine time, and this is supposed to look kind of like a clock. Imagine time is really a pie, and it's divided into pieces, right?
Right.
So we got 12 o'clock, we got 2 o'clock, and so forth. All right, now here's the question, Vanessa. Which one of those slices of time is the present moment?
Oh, this is a curveball. I don't like it. Um, wouldn't it be all of them? Because it's one whole present, one present. Because presents can't be divided. Presents would be whole.
And that's absolutely the correct answer.
Oh, yay. I get an
So,
A.
So, but this is the trap that we fall into. We think that we're looking for the present moment, because it's a slice of time. And now I've asked two people this afternoon. You're the second person who immediately picked up the fact that you cannot divide presence.
Right.
And so there is no slice of time that is the present moment. It includes all time.
Absolutely.
Or maybe a better way of putting it is there is no time in the present moment.
There is no time.
But from what we're talking about here is how do we make ourselves available? So if you can't find the present moment, and it's all over the internet. I mean, some of the most famous teachers on the internet are saying, well, you need to be more present.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot like saying you need to be more spontaneous.
Yeah.
You can't be spontaneous.
Yeah,
You
that's
either
hard.
are or you aren't.
Right.
And the same thing is true of presence. You either are or you aren't. You can't struggle to become present. And so
Wow.
what we're talking about here is the key to becoming present is to become completely aware.
Correct.
And when we become completely aware, we're coherent with our pattern and presence can flow through us. Okay, well, what interferes or distorts with that? Well, maybe issues with your father or conflict with your spouse and this is where people really need help because they want to be present, but they don't resolve the personal issues in their lives. And as long as they're struggling with personal issues that are emotional and psychological, they can't experience the flow.
They're stuck.
They're absolutely stuck. So let me go over some of these levels of awareness and get your reaction to it, because this is where I'm struggling with this with the help of Kristina to try to make sense out of this. And that is the first level of, so imagine the field, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, consciousness is completely undifferentiated. What does that mean? It means it has no characteristics at all, other than just pure awareness. So what's the first thing that field wants to do? The first thing it wants to do is create another. So it can experience interacting with another. And so the first level of awareness is, being aware of another. In the Bible, you might think of that scripture where it says, let there be light. So there's this complete void. And so the first level of creation is there's light. So now there's this difference, dark and light. So there's an other. Okay, so what's the second level of awareness? The second level of awareness is, okay, there's another, so I must be me. I must be a me. I must be a separate entity. So there's another, and then there's me. And then the third level of awareness is I'm experiencing thoughts.
Oh, wow.
And the fourth level of awareness is I'm experiencing being aware of awareness. And the fifth level is, and this, now I feel like I'm slipping into the weeds again. The fifth level is I'm aware of the field. What does that mean? I'm aware of you and of me, and we're all part of one. We're all part of the one expression. And then the sixth level is the fact that now we're back to the field, which the stillness that's below everything, that everything is emanating from. Okay, if you go back through those 6 levels of awareness, you can see all the psychological problems, the emotional problems, the emotional reactivity relate to one or more or interactions of those levels of awareness.
Right.
So if you're interpreting what I'm doing as rejection, for instance, then you're having trouble at level 3, thoughts.
Oh.
If I'm assuming that what you're doing is correct through my interpretation, then I'm having trouble at level 2 because I'm projecting myself onto you.
Correct.
Okay, now what's the point behind all this nonsense about levels and awareness and everything? The point is, if you go through them and you clean it all up, the more clean this mirror gets, the more you get to experience presence in your life.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
now I don't, and if you could turn your volume up just a little bit, your mic is a little soft, or maybe
I
speak
think
a
it's
little
just
loud.
my voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you can see, this makes presence completely different now because I know that if I'm experiencing an emotion or resistance or some density or conflict with another person or something, I know that I cannot experience presence. Now I'm motivated to go take care of that.
Right.
Instead of setting all that aside to go try to be present somewhere. Because I can't set it aside.
Oh,
I
oh,
have to
wow.
resolve it. I have to fix it.
Which makes sense why so many of us struggle with the idea of presence. Like you said, like you can't just put it aside and okay, let me go on a cliff and let's be present in the moment.
That's right.
Like I can't be present if I'm thinking about how my mother traumatized me at age 2 or something. So,
That,
um,
that's exactly right.
wow, I never.
Yeah. See,
I love.
if I just spent the afternoon watching CNN and I'm all upset about what's happening in the world, and the scripture says, "Be in the world, but not of the world."
Of it. Yeah.
Paul is talking about our addiction to drama. So if I'm addicted to the drama of what's going on in the world, I can't experience presence.
Wow, that's powerful.
And so, and then so one might say, well, then I want to get away from the world. Well, that's a problem in itself,
Yeah.
right? Because now I'm trying to escape something. So you can see how dirty your motives get real quick.
Real quick.
Okay, so I'm
Absolutely.
going to stop talking and see if that prompts any questions from our audience or from you. And I've got the wrong slide. There you go. This
Yeah,
is
I mean,
Vanessa Moreno, not Kristina. Kristina is at back to school night.
not a problem. I'm just impressed as to how, first of all, I do like the levels just because my brain works off of structure and I love that sense of structure. But I appreciate how just the simple image you gave, that how is it that we could be present if we're still stuck at step 1, step 2, step 3,
Right,
or we go back from step 3 and we go back to step 2 because we're human. That is going to happen.
right,
Um, I think that's where we fail ourselves when we think we really are healing, but we just put that label on there, like, oh, I'm healing from these things,
right,
but I still have resentment toward my dad. I can't get along with my brother,
right.
whatever the case might be. We truly can't achieve that healing until we surrender and until we work on those
Exactly.
things. And it's really about that surrender too. Like, why are
Hmm.
you holding it so closely when all it is about experiencing that presence? But I mean, there's steps in order to get that
Hmm.
process. So it makes sense.
So
I
so
love the
let me
invitation.
let me give you an absolute example from my life. And I have this unhealthy relationship with my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
Christine is fortunate; she's not struggling the way I am, but we're doing really well and we're trying to grow it. And there's so many obstacles to doing something. Okay, so now if I struggle with measuring my progress and looking at this thinking, oh, it's never going to happen, and what do I need to do? And if I'm all, and this happens to me, but I know now that as soon as that tension comes in and those expectations, that I can't be present. Okay,
Yeah.
what is presence? Presence is the flow of the field of the perfection of who I'm supposed to be and how fulfilling that is, well, then I'm going to let go of my struggle with the YouTube channel, aren't I?
Yeah.
Because that's a much bigger vista that I want to be in than my little struggle, because it's either going to happen or it's not. And there's nothing really I can do but do my best. But the more real estate in my mind that I give to the thing, the more miserable I am and the less I experience the present moment.
Correct.
So for me, that's how I'm experiencing these principles.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, Mark, because I think a lot of our viewers can attest to that and with their own struggles. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is that one monkey on our back that we just can't seem to shake off. And
Right.
that monkey is responsible for us not experiencing the true healing, the true presence that we
That's
so wish
correct.
to possess.
That's correct.
Um, and it's heartbreaking when you've talked about this in other videos where so many folks will endure years and years of training of um, meditation, and they still can't get anywhere because we're not targeting that primal issue of, well, what what happened in your past that you're not dealing with? What
Right.
is that awareness that you seek, but that you're kind of bypassing, if
Mm-hmm.
anything? I think a lot of us just want to experience that healing, have that instant gratification. But there's steps to that. So I thank you for sharing that example. I think a lot of us have our own struggles where we give it so much attention, so much focus, and it's just we're not happy. And it's almost as if we think that the more energy, the more focus I put into this issue, the happier I'll be, or I'm gonna figure it out. Sometimes you're just not, and that's something I struggle with. I want to be present, but I'm over here thinking about that one struggle I have.
Right.
I can't be present though. I'm still thinking about that one struggle or that one challenge that
Mm-hmm.
is so stressful, and I can't be present that way. So I love how you put it. So
Well,
simple.
and see, this I think this relates to what the Buddha is saying. You have to stop grasping and so forth. And
Yeah.
to the uninformed mind, you think, "Oh, I need to be more disciplined. I got to stop wanting things and so on." But that's not it. It's you can't experience the enlightenment and the fulfillment of what we're here to really, heaven on earth, what we're here really to experience if we're grasping toward the next new car or the boyfriend or whatever it is. We're locked in. Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, this is before your time, there's a very famous teacher named Jack Kornfeld. And I'm going to tell this story, and I apologize if I misrepresent anything because I admire this person very much. So he wants to find enlightenment, like so many of us do. And so he leaves the United States, I think when he's 19, I'm not sure, very young. He goes to India, he goes to the ashrams, he goes to Tibet, he studies Buddhism, he studies this, he studies that. And for 20 years, he has all kinds of, experiences, etc. And, he becomes one of those guys in the orange robes.
Yeah.
And, and so it's time for him to go home. So he comes home, and when he gets off the airplane, the first thing he learns is he can't be in a relationship with anybody because he's been isolated doing meditation for 20 years.
Oh,
And so what does he do? He goes back to grad school and gets a Ph.D. in psychology because he knows that he ran away from his personal issues and he didn't confront them. And now that he's home, he has to.
ouch.
And he elucidates this in a book he wrote. I believe it's called A Path with Heart. It's well worth reading. But
That's
yeah,
that sucks. And that just shows that we can be filled with all of this head knowledge, but what purpose does it serve if we're not applying, if we're not going to that root issue?
mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's a great image. That's a sad image, but it's a great one. I think a lot of times our energy is just going into the wrong place. We're not targeting those issues. And
Right.
we're always going to be stuck at square one. And it's unfortunate because some of us don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we don't know.
So if there's anybody listening who has a question, feel free to put it in the comments. I got my eye on the comments over here, and if it pops up, I'll acknowledge it. So we're talking about presence, and presence is not a place that you visit, it's a structure of awareness that occurs. And what we're doing in our series of videos is we're trying to understand how this field of awareness works. And for those of you who watched our series on the present moment last summer, earlier this summer, we talk about now it's going from my mind. It'll come back to me, but we talk about this concept that that the present moment is this expression of that all there really is, that this is the thought, all there really is the awareness of experience. There really isn't anything else that exists.
Right.
And that's what we're here for. We've been placed here so the field of consciousness can experience itself reflected back through us. And the purity of that reflection is dependent on our level of awareness.
Right.
So here's Jack. It comes is his. I'm going to put this up. It's actually coming up in his wife's name, but his wife is Simone. His name is Jack. Is the present moment an experience constructed by consciousness, or does it exist independent of our awareness? No, the two are the two sides of the same coin. There is no consciousness without awareness, and there's no awareness without consciousness.
Oh, wow.
So the present moment is how we experience how closely those things match. So when we become a pure conduit for the divine expression flowing through us and being reflected back to its source, then we experience presence. Because we know it, we feel it, we're locked in. I don't know if I'm answering this question correctly, but there's a flow and there's a rightness and there's a knowing, and it's not something you figure out, you just know. So is the present moment an experience constructed by consciousness, or does it exist independent of our awareness? I believe that the whole purpose for us being here is so consciousness can have an experience. Without the formation of the other, there is nothing to experience. So consciousness in and of itself cannot experience. That's why the world has been created. Jack, tell me if I'm doing a good job answering your question. Does that make sense to you, Vanessa?
It does. It's a lot to wrap my mind around, but it's something I'll just have to keep repeating again and again.
So if you do some exploring, and we had some videos on this a while back, there's more and more thinkers and philosophers and scientists who are coming to the conclusion that consciousness is fundamental. What does that mean? The stuff that everything is made of is consciousness. We experience it as material, particles, and solid objects, but that's not really what's happening. Consciousness is organically morphing into an experience that we can interpret that way, because that's what consciousness wants to do. It wants to know itself.
It's a journey.
So if you think about it that way, there is nothing but awareness of experience, because the field is pure awareness and everything is an experience that awareness is having. Yes, this is Jack. Great job. You answered my question, and I'm laughing out loud because it's so lost to me. I'm a bit dense. No, I'm sorry, Jack. I think I'm part of your problem, and I'm making it more dense than it needs to be.
I feel your pain, Jack.
So feel free to engage in the conversation here. So if you, I'm going to go there. So please forgive me, but I'm going to go to the dual slit experiment, and you can look at at least 100 YouTube videos on the dual slit experiment. So in the dual slit experiment, there's a plate with slits in it, and they're firing atoms through the slits. Okay, if there's no observer, those particles perform like waves,
Right.
and they can't be measured. They just create an interference pattern like light would. As soon as there's a measurement taken, the wave collapses into particles that are measured as little pin spots on the other side of the barrier. So the key to the dual slit experiment is, and this is like Schrodinger's cat and so many other quantum principles, but when there's an observer, the material existence appears. But without the observer, and what is the observer? It's awareness. So awareness itself is experiencing itself as the stuff that awareness is creating, which is really awareness itself. So it's awareness, experience awareness, taking a form that we consider. So in other words, it's here's my cup. So this is what I'm saying is my awareness of the cup is the cup I'm aware of.
Right.
Okay, what does that mean? What that means is this cup is made up of my awareness of it.
Right.
It's not made up of steel or, plastic or anything like that. It's made of awareness. Because without my awareness, there is no cup.
Oh, it's giving it meaning.
Yeah, I'm giving it existence because I want to experience that cup. So it's like turning reality on its head. So Neo in the Matrix walks in to the Oracle's home, and there are all these children that are performing little psychic things, and one of the children has a spoon, and he's bending the spoon with his mind. And so Neo's looking at that, and the boy says, you can't try to bend the spoon with your mind. That would be impossible. All you need to do is realize the truth. And Neo says, well, what's the truth? And the boy says, there is no spoon.
Oh no, I get it. Stop it. Oh man, it makes it way more complex than it has to be, but I get that.
Anyway, I
Wow.
hope somebody listening to this is enjoying this, but I know we've kind of gone down a weird road tonight. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Put them in the comments, and we'll put them up here, and we'll respond to them. Any more thoughts or questions from you, Vanessa? What is this has got to be a different conversation than you've had with anybody for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I I mean, in high school, I grew up thinking of like, wow, what is it going to be when I get to that age and I get to have those conversations? And I'm having it now, and I'm struggling because it's not something we talk about. It's not
No.
um not even in literature class. Nothing. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely off topic. I mean, and it's great because I mean, that's the goal here. What is self-awareness? And then that there's that question of like, will we give awareness to that awareness? So it's 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 challenging, but it's also exciting because that's a field that I've never considered exploring.
Mm-hmm.
And um yeah, I'm going to be thinking of a lot of things on my way home. Like just Like what is it that what is it that I think exists, but it's just that I'm aware of it. It's
Everything.
it's powerful. Yeah, everything.
See,
And
when you
just
think
how
about it, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to touch my nose. How do I know I'm touching my nose? Because I can feel it. Okay, how do I know I'm having a feeling? See, all that's happening is there are nerve impulses sending electrical impulses to my brain. So am I experiencing my finger touching my nose, or am I experiencing impulses stimulating my brain?
oh no.
And if I'm experiencing impulses, which I am, which is a documented fact, I'm experiencing nerve impulses, then how do I prove I'm actually touching my nose? The only thing I can prove is maybe that I'm experiencing nerve impulses. That's kind of
Okay.
unfair of me.
So my question is, I mean, as humans, we like to label things. So I'm
Uh-huh.
wondering, we've just given labels to certain
Mm-hmm.
experiences.
Right.
Okay. Okay, at least I got that down.
Now, if you go read, I believe it's Romans, Paul basically says what you're saying. You know, we've taken everything and we've broken it down into little crawly things and squiggly things and all these parts and pieces, and we've labeled everything. I'm paraphrasing here,
Yeah.
and then he says, but we've missed the overall
Mm.
because we're busy making everything into its component parts, but we don't see what's real.
Wow. Yeah, spot on.
And what he's saying, you know, in through the biblical lens, is he's saying we don't see God, we don't see, you know, the reality, the divine reality of what's in front of us, because we're busy with a microscope trying to find out little parts and pieces. I forget what um, what verse that might be.
Mhm.
Anything else? We're starting to run short on time. If you're still watching us, and a few people are, if you have a question, please put it in the comments. What else for you, Vanessa? Have I blown your mind and made you feel uncomfortable, or?
It's no, not uncomfortable, slightly uncomfortable because I like to be in control and I like to know things. So the fact that I don't know this is what's making me uncomfortable, but it's great. That's where growth happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a question about entanglement. I know we could go on about it, but that was something that was mentioned in the first part of your video
Mm-hmm.
series about being in the present moment. Can you explain a little bit more about what entanglement entails?
Um, well, it's this thing called quantum entanglement, where two particles at any distance become entangled and show the same forces acting on. So if one over here turns to the left, this one will turn to the left, and you know, quantum entanglement means that it's possible to conceive of a world where if this particle right here is entangled with a particle in front of you, then operations done on this particle affect that particle in the exact same way.
Mm. Okay, so it's
Now
dealing
you're
with
kind of stretching my understanding of everything, but quantum
yeah.
entanglement kind of, you know, what we're doing on the channel is we're kind of feeling our way toward a model that makes sense of what's really going on.
Right.
And
Yeah.
for tonight, I think the bottom line is, if you want to experience nirvana, you probably have issues that are getting in the way. And if you want, and after we're done with this session, we're going to record the part 3. And part 3 is all about what you can do to clear this stuff out so you can really experience presence in your life.
Awesome.
Because the present moment is always available, but we're busy doing something else.
We're
You know,
busy trying to survive. We're just in survival mode.
that's right. And survival mode is awareness level number 2,
Mhm.
because You know, if there's another, then I have to survive. You have to die so I can survive. Because
Yeah.
at level 2, there's me and the other. And
Yeah.
that's where survival comes in.
It I know we're running out of time, but one quick comment. It makes sense why a lot of, and I've noticed this for myself as well as some of my own friends that are near my age group. There's there's this strain and difficulty with trying to help our parents understand certain concepts that we've become aware of, because a lot of our parents are stuck in survival mode because
Sure.
of what in their past, because it was a different era. And so it makes sense why um, relationships can be so difficult. And I'm not saying romantic, but just any relationship in general. So, for example, like with our parents can be at step 2 and we can be at step 7, and it's
Yeah.
or step 5, and it's there's just no way to mix that, and it's hard. They're in survival mode, whereas we are learning how to become more present. So um
Well,
that's just something else to consider. Like it makes sense, it can make sense now of why it's difficult to speak with some people, because their level of awareness is going to be different than yours.
but if you really are aware, you will see that right away and you will stop expecting them to be something they are not.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
And so,
Awesome.
you know, when and it's really about having perspective, because this is level 2 again, because now you're acknowledging there is another, and you might wonder what their point of view is, and when you see things from their point of view, it's like, okay, why do I need to change their point of view?
Yeah. Yeah.
All I need to do is love them for exactly who they are, right where they are. And if I can help them and share something I've learned, then I'm sure they'll come to me if that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. And that really is the truest love, just loving people, understanding where they are, not having to change them, and just meeting them where they are. That's true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
See, you can enjoy people. Acceptance is the most powerful force for change in a relationship.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the ego doesn't want to accept anybody but ourselves.
No. The ego is judgmental and critical. Ego's annoying.
Okay. Um, Anything else from anybody? We'll just pause here for a second and then we'll close this out. So if a comment doesn't pop up right away, we'll just assume we've completed our job. I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. They probably think I'm a little nuttier than they did before.
Or it'll make them come back for more, Mark. Gotta see it another way. It made me want to come back for more. I want to keep talking about presents.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And please reach out if there's anything we can do, because we really want to make a difference in people's lives. And so spread the word, and we'll all get together here next Thursday at 6:15, where we'll do this all over again.
And be sure to watch Kristina and Mark's video on how to achieve the present moment. It's a 3-part series whenever you have the opportunity. And always remember that you are not alone and we care about you.
Thank you so much for that, Vanessa.
Absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a great rest of your Thursday.